Welcome to the VEX Robotics Competition referee training videos, designed for both referees and teams. This is Chapter 4, Tipping, Entanglement, Damage, and G12. Let's take a look at Rule G12. Strategies aimed solely at the destruction, damage, tipping over, or entanglement of opposing robots are not part of the ethos of the VEX Robotics Competition and are not allowed. If the tipping, entanglement, or damage is ruled to be intentional or egregious, the offending team may be disqualified from that match. Repeated offenses could result in disqualification from the entirety of the competition. Let's step through each part of this rule. Tipping and damage are pretty straightforward to notice and define. Entanglement has its own definition in the Turning Point Manual. A robot is entangled if it has grabbed, hooked, or attached to an opposing robot or a field element. G12B states that some incidental tipping, entanglement, and damage may occur as part of normal gameplay without violation. It will be up to the head referee's discretion whether the interaction was incidental or intentional. So, what does all of this mean? Well, when a robot gets tipped over, damaged, or entangled, the referee will need to make a judgment call whether or not a violation occurred. Remember, as a highly interactive game, some incidental tipping or damage is expected. To truly be in violation of G12, a robot must intentionally or egregiously tip over an opposing robot, intentionally or egregiously grab or hook an opposing robot, or intentionally or egregiously damage an opposing robot. It's important to only penalize teams for intentional violations as opposed to incidental ones. For example, when a robot is pushing an opponent and the opponent starts to tip over, pay attention to whether the pushing robot backs away or continues pushing to force the opponent over. A team who backs away should not be penalized for tipping, while a team who continues to push should be penalized. Remember, a referee can only judge based off of what they see on the field, not what they think is going through a team's head. This is another reason why clear verbal warnings are critical in these situations to give teams a chance to back away and avoid jumping straight to a violation. That being said, G12C applies in this situation as well. A team is responsible for the actions of its robot at all times, including the autonomous period. This applies both to teams that are driving recklessly or potentially causing damage, and to teams that drive around with a small wheelbase. A team should design its robot such that it is not easily tipped over or damaged by minor contact. For example, it is expected that many teams might want to expand upwards in order to high score caps on posts. If your robot tips over backwards every time that you try to score a cap, it's not likely that an opponent would get a G12 violation for causing one of these tips. In VRC Turning Point, G12 also includes Note 1. Alliances who attempt to utilize the center platform should expect vigorous interactions from opponent robots. When a robot is contacting or engaging with the center platform, incidental damage that is caused by opponent robots pushing, tipping, or entangling with them would not be considered a violation of G12. Intentional damage or dangerous mechanisms may still be considered a violation of R3, S1, or G1 at the head referee's discretion. This is a very important note for referees and teams to keep in mind this year. The center platform may be a hotly contested area of the field, especially at the end of the match and especially at high levels of play. Vigorous interactions are expected here, and they are completely legal. In most cases, incidental tipping or damage from being pushed off of the center platform will not be penalized. Teams who go for those 6 points at the end of the match should be aware of the risk that they take in doing so. Sometimes, these interactions may cause incidental damage to other robots on nearby Alliance platforms. This scenario is covered by Note 2. Damage caused by indirect contact with the center platform is included in Note 1. So, this means that if two robots are engaged in a center platform scuffle, and one of them falls off onto a partner that's on the Alliance platform, this is okay. There will be no G12 violation called for this incidental contact. Similarly, if a robot is on the floor trying to push off a center-parked robot and is damaged as a result of this interaction, this is also okay. They accepted that risk when they began indirectly engaging with the center platform. And finally, Note 3 explains that everything we just talked about only applies if the robots are contacting the center platform. The Alliance platform by itself is not included in Note 1. Robots which are Alliance parked and not contacting or interacting with the center platform are treated the same as robots that are on the floor or otherwise playing the game. So, if a robot is by itself on the Alliance platform, any tipping or damage caused to them by opponents would be considered a G12 violation, just like it would be anywhere else on the field. Now, there is a line here between incidental tipping and combat robotics. R3, which states that robots may not utilize mechanisms designed to damage or entangle other robots, still applies here. A robot with a mechanism solely designed to flip opponents, cut their wires, or cause any other forms of extreme damage would still not be legal. If a referee sees that the center platform contest is getting a little too dangerous, they may issue a verbal warning to the teams involved, or they may ask a team to modify the mechanism in question before the next match. Pushing matches or scuffles are okay. Repeated, intentional, or egregious damage is not. That's all for Chapter 4, but make sure you check out the other chapters which explore other refereeing topics.